So what's up, just if it's Jip in the house. Okay, I got a video request from a viewer about grandparents and grandkids, how the grandparents affect the grandkids in interracial marriages, and what problems have I had with this and things like that. Well, I don't think it's a problem at all. I think it's a great thing that the grandparents are involved with the grandkids. You know, of course they're happy because their daughter has a baby, you know, and the mother and father, they're really happy about that. There's a whole bunch of things that can be going on. I think the first thing is they're just I guess, quote unquote, you know, they could. And now this is just my own opinions, and actually this one is just funny. It's supposed to be a joke, but it might not come off like that. But basically what it could be is just that, you know, they probably think it to themselves that they screwed up, you know, because their daughter ended up marrying someone who's not like them. And now that the baby came out, you know, the grandkid came out, they're probably, you know, doing things the right way, you know, and instilling culture in them, and instilling, you know, different things into the grandchildren, because, you know, a lot of parents don't do that with their own children. They don't teach them the culture or anything, you know. So they're thinking like, well, you know, let's try it again. So, you know, for them, it's just a second chance, I believe. But, you know, like I said, that's just my joking opinion and things like that. But on the real, it's good. You know, if you got grandparents who are involved, that's good, because it's better to let them get involved now, because later on, and as the kid gets older, the kids are going to probably separate from the grandparents or whatever, you know, especially as they get older, 5 years old and 6 years old, and if they're bad or whatever, you know. So it shouldn't be a problem or anything like that. My kids' grandparents, you know, they took them. I don't really know what they did, because we would go over there, and I usually end up hanging out with all the kids and stuff, right? And when he was younger, they would come over, or the mother would go to over there, because sometimes I didn't always go because we weren't getting along. That was my fault. But and so what they did over there, I don't know. But my kids now, they're all speaking Japanese. I'm teaching my son English now, which is really easy for him to learn. And yeah, and it's pretty easy for him to learn and things like that. So plus the father, he died kind of early, and so I'm kind of sad about that. And so if anything, you know, I kind of wish that, you know, we would have spent more time, because I can't teach my son how to be a Japanese man or how to act like a man in the Japanese culture, being Japanese. I can't do that. So you know, I even talked to him about it. You know, I said, you know, regardless of me and your relationship, you know, he's your first, he's the only man in your family, you know, and please, you know, spend as much time as you can with him and teach him to be Japanese, you know. So that's what I did. So if I were you, I wouldn't do anything about it, you know, just be happy that they're involved, because there are a lot of interracial marriages where the parents are just not involved, you know, and it's purely BS, you know. They just ignorant and too emotional and stuff, and the day before they die, you know, a lot of people are gonna repent, you know, and regardless if they say they don't, really in their hearts they really do. You know, when you die, you know, you got to come to terms. But another thing too, you know, I don't understand why you would ask such a question, because your wife evidently knows the same culture and would have to teach the daughter that culture, because it's the only culture she knows. I mean, truly know, because it's the one she grew up in. I'm thinking, okay, because I don't really know the details. You're saying you're in England, you know, but what culture as a black man from England that you're going to teach your kids, you know? Because I was talking to another friend from New York, and we're, of course, Americans, and I was telling him that really black people don't have a culture in America. And he said, well, we do, you know, rock and roll, we made this, we made that, and you know. And he was talking about, he didn't bring up anything that was scientific or things like that, you know. It's just entertainment and things like that. Not all of it was entertainment, but you know. And I understood what you're saying, but I was thinking like, because actually in America, there is no American culture, and the culture that is in America is pretty much African and stuff. But other people are there now, but I'm talking about like the American culture is black. But, you know, who can actually pin it down? I mean, how can you install the culture, the black culture, in a child? And you're from England, so I have no idea. But, you know, going by the stereotypes that I hear, blacks over in England just are not, you know, they're just not, you know, having a good time and stuff, you know, and it's messed up, you know. So what are you going to teach your child that's going to be much different, or it's going to be better than what the grandparents are going to teach? And I don't see anything. I mean, you might have it, but I don't see it. You know what I'm saying? You know, oh well, you know, you're black and we all came from Africa, you know, blah 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 and blah blah blah. But you know, you still have to face the fact that your child, because they're not pure black, you know, that they're going to catch a lot of hell from black people. You know, and I was black, you know, and I caught a lot of hell from black people. You know, so it's no telling, you know, what those kids are going to go through. So I wouldn't worry about it when they come around. Let them have that time with their grandkids and stuff, because, you know, that's part of their blood too. And if they're teaching them culture and things, which I doubt many people teach what we call quote unquote culture, because most of the time the culture that we're talking about, or what the culture that we're actually teaching, is just survival stuff. You know, you got to go get a job, you know, so you can make some money so you can eat and provide for your family if you have a family, and you know, and things like that, how to, you know, work with the neighborhood and stuff like that. So what is a culture actually? You know, to me, it's just things that, I mean, you know, speaking from that point of view, it's just things that people need to do just to survive, and to do a lot of things that they want to do or that they need to do. So it's you know, that's like a lot of people talk about the Japanese culture, but I've been here 18 years, and the only culture I see is, you know, what the mothers teach, you know. And I mean, I can understand maybe what happened in the old days, but regardless, you know, the mothers and the fathers of all during our histories have fought and battled, and more than likely, you know, the mothers usually come out on top, you know. And in most houses, most homes, I should say, where the man is on top, is probably due because he's just physically stronger than her, and that's it. But when it comes to mentality and stuff like that, you know, it's you know, the women usually come out on top, and they're usually the ones winning and stuff like that. Or, you know, you're just in a relationship where, you know, you're just there, you know, together, and you don't really like it, you know, because you can't put your 2 cents in, you know, to the point where your wife's going to listen to you and stuff like that. So culture, what is culture? You know, if you can reply, you know, tell me, what would you teach your kid that would be better than what the grandparents? Because you don't have the experience of raising children, you know, taking care of them when they're sick, you know, and having to put them to school, and you know, they get injured and sit there bleeding and whatever, you know, and they're in a hospital, and you can't do anything, and you got to put, you know, hopefully the doctor isn't a jerk, you know, and know his or her job and stuff like that. So, you know, being a parent is it's not all about your emotions, you know. To me, it sounds like, you know, you're just being a little too emotional and stuff, because, you know, it's my daughter, and but you know, sure, it's your daughter, that's fine, or your granddaughter. I think you said granddaughter, but you know, your child is going to be raised by more than one person. You know, and if the child gets out in the streets, you know, the teachers, cops, whomever. So if the grandparents can teach that child something, then, you know, the only suggestion I could say, only thing I could suggest to you, you should be there, listening and taking notes too, because these older people, they have a lot of knowledge, and the knowledge of the past can definitely help you in the future, you know. And it's like when I was coming up, you know, these kids running from the cops, so they don't know how to talk to the cops and all of this stuff. But I come along, and when I was coming up, it was different for us. So I could say, well, hey, back in the days, this is what we did, and the point of doing that is that the cops of now were the kids that I grew up with. And so if these kids now can relate and understand what the cops that I grew up with in our days understood, because it's the same thing, then when they talk to them, the cops can relate to them a little better. Not saying that all police are good or bad or whatever like that, but I'm just saying, as far as the communications and stuff like that. So I don't, oh my God, this is like way too long to answer such a short question. But basically, just stay out of their way. let them do what they want to do with their child, because they're not going to be around long, and you're going to need all the positive input from other sources into your child as you can, because you're not going to do it, and trust me, you are lucky, very lucky. Okay, I'm out. Peace.